Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the League Racing TV YouTube channel for round one of the second season of the Esports Masters League League 2 division. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Carmentis. I'll be taking you through League 2 throughout this entire season. Joining me in the commentary box today will be Leonis Racing's Brendan White. Unfortunately, he has just had to step away from his mic for the time being, so he will be with us in just a few minutes. But I'll be taking you through proceedings as the season goes on, and of course we are at Bahrain for the first round of the season. As you can see, the first round of 10 coming up for us this season. Of course, EML running very similarly as we ran it last season around. 10 rounds spread across 10 months across pretty much the full game cycle. Will start off this month in Bahrain. It will be followed shortly in September by the Spanish Grand Prix at Barcelona. We'll head to Baku in October. November we'll be heading to the circuit Paul Ricard for the French Grand Prix. Austria will be taking place for round 5 in the midpoint of the season on the 15th of December. The 26th of January will be the USA Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas. February we will have the Brazil race for round 7. Round 8 we'll be heading to Imola for the Italian Grand Prix. Portugal will be round 9 in April, and the finale will be held at Abu Dhabi at the Yas Island at the Yas Marina Circuit. So that is our 10 race calendar for the season 2 of EML. A little bit different to this time last season, which will be great to see. We'll be running a very similar point system as well to what we have been running in the past. It will be points all the way from first down to last position. 25 points for the win, 22 for second, 20 for third, 18 and 16 for fourth and fifth, and then it's 15 all the way down to 1 from 6th to 20th in points. So anywhere you can finish, you will score points. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Brendan has just joined us. Brendan, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing very well, and yourself?
Yeah, doing brilliantly, thank you very much. It's going to be a really fun, exciting season. Of course, your first season of EML to commentate over as well. What are you looking forward to this season?
It's very interesting to see where everyone will stack up here. And obviously, since it isn't on every week or so, you have to see how it'll develop over the course of the season. Some drivers may find more pace than others. So what we might see here tonight might be, well, completely different in a couple of races' time.
Yeah, exactly. That is the great thing about this championship. It's difficult to build momentum, obviously, with the 4-week gaps that we have in between races. And obviously, the teams can choose different drivers for different events as well. Of course, a new rule for EML this season is every team has to use at least 5 drivers within a season. So that means that we will be seeing quite a few people throughout this entire season. That will be great to see as well. We'll run you through quickly the teams that we've got with us for League 2 this season and who they have got driving for them today. The 10 teams then in League 2 are the TTG Racing team, OWR, the Old Walker Racers, QVR Academy, BNL Racing Esports, Norway Scuderia, CPI, Ecos, TRT, Neverlast Racing and Esports Wales are your 10 teams. As you can see, we've only got 18 drivers in the lobby. That is unfortunately because Ecos have had a bit of a problem with their driver lineup this evening, a little bit of a late call from their drivers to say that they can't make it. They unfortunately can't get anybody in time to replace them. So already Ecos down on drivers. That is a shame to see. Does mean we've only got 18 drivers here this evening, but that is a bit of a head start for every other team. A real shame for Ecos though, isn't it? Because they were part of the qualifying event that we commentated on just a couple of weeks ago. They were very close to qualifying for League 1, so they look like a strong team, but they're already going to be one round down on everybody else.
Indeed, that is unfortunate for Ecos, as they, well, is true. Well, it is pretty much no fault of their own. They're already going to be losing a lot of ground to teams ahead.
Yeah.
And, well, everyone else here has an opportunity to take advantage.
Yep, they definitely do. A lot of drivers end with the opportunity to take the advantage. Like you say, let's run you through the drivers for this evening as well, who's going to be racing. As you can see, their Norway Scuderia have got Thomas, I believe, in their car alongside their teammate of Crash Stappen. Those are the 2 drivers for Norway Scuderia. TTG are running Robin and Carlsbury. ODR are running Martin Bell and Gout. Chill and Baki will be running for QVR. Jefton and Breeza are running for BNL. Esports Wales are running Colin Mason and Welsh Maldonado. Hyper and Shane would have been running for Ecos, but of course, unfortunately, they are not here tonight. Abzi and Dylan are running for Neverlast. CPI are running MRBT and Marcel. And Josh Sidney, and Mr. Popsol, who we are running with now, are running for the final team of TRT. So let's ride on board with Mr. Pop. He's going to take us through our first lap around the Sakir International Circuit in Bahrain. He's already coming through the first part of the lap and then in towards turn 4. A good overtaking opportunity. Wide corner this one is, as is with the track. Up towards the kink of 5 and then the downhill corner of turn 6 and 7. Very easy to get the car, spin the car, and as I say that, he does exactly what I'm talking about, Mr. Pop, losing the car on the exit off the corner, hitting the curb and spinning around. So that is his first run in the session, already heavily compromised. We'll jump aboard with his teammate Josh Sidney, who was the purple, I believe, in the first sector of all the people that have gone through so far. A 27.4 in the first sector from Josh. We'll ride through there. He's come out of turn 8 uphill over the crest towards turn 9 and 10. Very easy to lock a tyre here, but Josh, no problem whatsoever. Out of the corner, gets a nice run down out of turn 10 and up towards turn 11. It's going to get a little bit of a tow from his teammate, but not too much of a tow. It is the shortest straight on the track as well. Into the corner Josh Sidney goes, then keeps it away from the exit curb and then in towards the flat out turn 12. Don't touch the curb on the inside, you will spin, and Josh keeps well away from it. A 103.9 by the end of the second sector. Not a bad lap so far through 13. Tightens up on exit, but he gets nice traction out of the corner. Downhill then into turn 14, the last proper corner on the track. Turn 15 afterwards is just a kink. Hits the curb nicely on the inside and on the exit as well. Nice and neat lap this has been from Josh. His teammate spun earlier on, but Josh a 24.9 for the first lap in the session. Then that is not a bad lap time to start the session. Brilliant time from him, and across the line Colin Mason comes from Esports Wales. He does a 25.6 to go 7/10 of a second slower than Josh Sidney on that lap. But Josh Sidney, pretty solid lap from him.
Yeah, not too bad for him, as the others are struggling to beat his times. And that is B. Morgan, who has put in a 25.3, which is the closest so far, but there's still a good bit of a gap. Felix slots in between B. Morgan and Josh, and then CPI Mr. BT beats Felix. So people are starting to close in, and you can see a spread beginning to develop as well.
Yeah, see a little bit of a spread, like you say. Josh and Mr. BT and Felix at the moment at the top of the field, the ones closest to one another. B. Morgan is reserving in tonight for QVR Academy as the BNL driver of Dan goes into third place with exactly the same lap time as Mr. BT. And they're all beaten by CPI Marcel, who goes to the top of the timesheets then by just under a 10th of a second. So not a bad start to the qualifying session for CPI. First and third as it stands. We've still got a few more people on laps. Robin is on a lap. Martin Bell has invalidated. He's coming into the pit lane. Carlsbury's coming to complete a lap, but he is on the medium compound tyres, as is Welsh Maldonado and Eleanor Dillon. As across the line, Carlsbury comes to a 27.9. That is 1.2 seconds slower than what Welsh Maldonado was able to do on the same set of tyres. Dillon now out of the final corner and up towards the line. A lovely striking livery on that Neverlast car, and he does a 26.3 on the medium compound tyres to go into 11th place. The only other driver then on a lap is Robin. We'll ride with him. A 27.6 for the first sector, 2/10 down on what we saw from Sydney. A 104.7 by the end of the second sector. He's 8/10 of a second down from when we were on board Sydney. So this is going to be a high 25. This will pop him around about 10th place at the moment with Gout in the OWR car. Around the final corner comes Robin, 93 then, and up towards the line comes the TTG Academy driver. Across the line he comes, and it is into 11th on a 26.0 from Robin. Interesting to see a few drivers on the medium compound tyres. Obviously not expecting to get into the top 10 on the mediums, but maybe saving a set of softs for the race.
Yeah, that would probably be the plan. Plus, it is better to waste a set of or use up a set of mediums and quality at the start rather than the softs. Although the mediums will still be good enough for the race if needs be. Yeah, that would be it basically. So now they can go on to the softs now and know that they will have one in case there is a late safety car in the race.
Yeah, always got to prepare for each kind of scenario that can happen for you. Obviously, late safety cars are a factor in this. Safety cars are on, so there will be a factor somewhat in this race this evening. Crash Stappen's just crossed the line to start his next one. So has Mr. Pop, so he's come out again on a fresh set of soft compound tyres in that yellow-looking car. And then as he comes up towards turn 4 out of turn 3, the second of the two DRS straights then, we'll see if he's able to make it through turn 7 this time around without losing the rear end of the car. So easily done, though, as proved by Mr. Pop. He comes up through the kink of 5 into turn 6. A great first sector from Pop down through turn 7. Keeps well away from the curb this time around. Much nicer then through the middle part of the lap so far for Mr. Pop. His teammate Josh Sidney then currently in second position, splitting the two CPI cars. So we'll see where he can put his car in this field. Can he get up towards the front of the field for TRT as well? Up towards then turn 11 he comes. It's been a nice and clean lap so far. We've had another spinner in through turn 7. I think that was Carsbury who's had a spin on his second lap on the medium compound tyres. Mr. Pop runs it a little bit wide through 11 but still gets good traction out of the corner up towards turn 13. It's a 3.6 by the end of the second sector. This is looking like it could be a provisional pole time then from the TRT driver down towards the final two corners of the lap. Can he keep it within the confines of the track and finish off this lap in style? Then through turn 14 he comes, a little bit of mid-corner understeer, but he gets away with it, and up towards the line comes Mr. Pop then, currently 18th, goes to the top of the timesheet, so they're 24.7, nearly 2/10 of a second clear of CPI Marcel. Good lap time for Mr. Pop, so that is now TRT first and third, CPI second and fourth.
Yeah, so looking good for TRT and CPI at the moment. And let's see who is next to set a time. So I believe Josh Sidney is on an out lap, and the cars behind are. Let's see what they will do, and if there is a time, then
yeah, we will wait and see what drivers are going to be doing then. I think Gout has started a lap on his soft compound tyres. I believe Mr. Beatty and Josh Sidney have also just started their next laps on their fresh set of tyres as well. I think Martin Bell is the furthest along in a lap at the moment. He hasn't set a time as of yet, so he will need to get a time on the board. His teammate currently sitting in 11th place, but his teammate is also on another run in this session then. Where does Martin Bell stack up in the middle part of this lap? A little bit of an updated livery from OWR this time around, running with a nice maroon red along with the green that they're so famous for through the turn 13 corner. 1 minute 4.3 through the middle part of the lap. Not bad, but not going to be challenging the likes of CPI and TRT at the front of the field then. Down towards turn 14 and 15, gets the car stopped nicely in through the corner, whacks the curb on the inside, gets a good exit though, and up towards the line. He's actually, I thought he was going to dive into the pit lane, but he chose not to. Crosses the line, and it's P8 for Martin Bell on a 25.4. Splits Thomas and B Morgan for the time being on the fourth row of the grid. Not a bad that time from Martin Bell, but we'll want to find a bit more before the end of the session. B Morgan is on another run. We've got more drivers coming up to start their second lap times in this session then. Some of the black livery running cars then are on the laps. It is the other OWR driver of Gout, who I believe is going to be first to finish their second lap in qualifying. Around the final corner he comes, and up towards the line. Has he been able to improve on a 25.9? He does a 25.6 and improves back inside the top 10 as Mr. BT now goes to the top of the field for CPI on a 24.685, just over 200ths of a second faster than Mr. Pop. It's very close between CPI and the other, and TRT at the top of the field. TRT driver Josh Sidney though has lost his front wing at some point in the lap. B Morgan's improved to go P6 and then has gone very deep in towards turn 1. His teammate Backy on a lap, I believe, in 12th position at the moment, crosses the line and he goes up to P8 on a 25.2, found half a second on his second run. So first blood it was to TRT in the first run. Second time around it looks like CPI are the ones that are a little bit stronger in the second half of the qualifying session.
you can obviously see there is a lot of track evolution still, so that means you can all swing again, and somebody who mightn't even be one of the CPI or TRT drivers, they might be able to find something that could turn it their way, but honestly we don't know just yet, so we'll just have to wait and see, and that is what makes it so exciting. You just don't know who could actually come out on top.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like Spike spoke about early on for the rest of the season, obviously the lineups are going to change, so that's what makes it exciting. Is you don't know which lineup is going to be strong coming into which week. Robin coming around the final corner, then currently 15th on the timing sheets, needs a good time to get him a bit further up in the session. He crosses the line and he finds 0.2 of a second and goes 14th, and then is immediately back down to 15th as Dylan sets his first lap on the soft compound tyres and goes 11th place. The other drivers that set laps on mediums, Welsh Maldonado has done a 25.4 on the soft compound tyres. Remember, Welsh Maldonado, the only female driver in the field, which is great to see. So great to see her doing well so far in 13th place. Her teammate Colin Mason 10th ahead on the track and in 10th position at the moment then. So just waiting for everyone to come back into the pit lane and get ready for their final runs in the session. Marcel has just improved on his second lap on the softs, but stays third. He only improved by just under a tenth of a second, so he wasn't quite able to challenge his teammate and Mr. Pop for the front row of the grid. But one thing we've seen so many times already on this game, I'm sure you've seen it throughout commentary as well, that qualifying, while important, doesn't seem to have as much of an importance as it did last game. Race pace on this game, you really need to have strong race pace to do well in these races now, don't you?
Yeah, that would be agreed, as obviously pole doesn't mean everything after all. It's not where you start, it is where you finish. And well, you can obviously honestly it is best to try start as high up as possible, but then obviously if you are able to manage the tyres and just maybe weave your way through any chaos that does ensue, then you will probably end up in a better position than the person who is quicker over the one lap but just can't quite manage their tyres or be as consistent in the race. Yeah, and I think let's see who somebody is going to start a lap there, I believe.
That's Marcel
finish a lap.
Yeah, Marcel coming into the pit lane. Dan, meanwhile, for BNL, has gone into third place then. So he's split the CPI and the TRT drivers right down the middle and gone into third position. His teammate, though, I think has just spun coming out of turn 7. Yes, he has. Breezer has spun coming out of turn 7. That's a lovely livery, by the way, on the BNL car. That is one great thing about this championship, is obviously we run the multiplayer cars rather than the Formula 1 cars. So we get to see every team's creativity with their liveries, and that definitely stands out as a striking livery compared to, well, last season, which was kind of full of a lot of black liveries in the end. But his teammate currently in third place, not doing too badly, but his teammate struggling down in 17th. We've already had Martin Bell retire out of the session, so he's not going to improve past 12th position as it stands. Everyone then is in the pit lane or just making their way out. Gout and Crash Stappen are the first drivers out on to their final runs in the session. So we'll ride with Gout, we'll ride on board with him, and we'll see how the track compares from the start of the session to the end of the session. How much has the track improved throughout this one? He crosses the line then to start his final run in the session, currently on a 25.6, just under a second off pole position. It's going to be a crazy lap time if Gout can get to the front of the field, and he just misses the apex of turn 1 ever so slightly, hops over turn 2, gets a little bit squirrely on traction coming out of the corner, but is fine through turn 3, up towards the braking zone for turn 4, hopping just over the curb on the left hand side, trying to extend the braking as much as possible through turn 4, losing the rear of the car again, just a little bit out of there, but he's a 10th up in the first sector, over the curb of turn 6 nicely, a little bit of understeer through 7, but it's not too bad. Through turn 8, again not quite making the apex, the front of the car not quite looking like it's able to get into the apex of these corners, but that maybe suggests he's running something a little bit more lower downforce that might help them in the race. Then out of turn 10 and down towards turn 11 opens the DRS for the third time in the lap, and up towards turn 11 then a very shallow braking zone, a difficult overtaking spot through there, doesn't run it out wide as we've seen a lot of drivers do. Through turn 12, easily flat once again, keeps it tight to the apex, up towards turn 13, but hasn't found any time in the middle part of the lap so far. Out of turn 13, pushing the limits of the track, but gets away with it, and then up towards the final 2 corners of the lap. Currently 14th on the grid, needs to be a mega final sector if they want to get any higher than 14th on the grid. Out of the final corner, it looked neat and tidy, crosses the line, stays, goes up to 13th, so found just over a tenth of a second in the final sector, but it's only enough for them to go 13th at the moment. It's still incredibly close though throughout the field, you've got to say, from B Morgan pretty much down to about Welsh Maldonado in 14th, just under 4/10 of a second separating those 8 or 9 drivers.
Oh, yeah, and there is some yellow flags, is that maybe people returning in the pits. But not much time left, so anyone who is not on an out lap is on a lap at the moment. And well, let's see, Mr. Crash Stappen is starting a lap, although I wonder if they actually made a mistake on their previous lap, given that the tyre ages, and the ERS is actually a distance around towards 100. Oh, there's somebody off there, I believe, or some getting out of the way in an out lap.
Yeah, that's one of the TC drivers moving out of the way. Coming around the final corner is Josh Sidney on his final run in the session. Found a bit of time in the middle part of the lap, crosses the line, stays fifth in the end, improves by 2/10, but stays where he was in the order. Then the two Neverlast cars running in each other's slipstream as Backy crosses the line and goes sixth for the QVR Academy team. His QVR Academy teammate B Morgan is off the road at turn 6, so they're not going to be improving on their time. Felix 1 is on a lap now. Dylan on a lap as well. I think Dylan actually might have given his teammate a little bit of a tow down the pit straight there and up towards turn 1. We've got more people setting times. I believe that was Welsh Maldonado that's just improved as Mr. BT sets a time that's just a couple of hundredths faster than his previous best, but solidifies that top spot. And Mr. Pop has invalidated their final run, so I don't think TRT are going to take pole position here tonight. Marcel, can he steal pole position away from his teammate here at the end of the session? That would be a great way for CPI to round off the first qualifying session of the season. Around the final corner and up towards the line comes Marcel, currently fourth on the grid, crosses the line and goes pole just under 300ths of a second, but it's a CPI front row lockout. Can anyone knock them off the top spot? And NSR Thomas crosses the line and goes P7 just into the 24s. B Morgan's into the pit lane. Felix 1, I think, is one of the last drivers on a lap along with his teammate, and the two TTG cars then. So let's ride with Felix 1 as he comes up towards the final corner in that lovely Neverlast livery. Then around turn 14 and up towards 15, can Neverlast get up in that battle at the top of the field? Across the line comes Felix 1 and he goes up into 8th position on a 24.999, not quite able to improve much further than 8th position. Dylan into the pit lane, so now it's just the two TTG cars and Carlsbury is up on his time. Robin's invalidated unfortunately, so he's not going to be improving on 16th on the grid. Carlsbury then up towards the final two corners. Can he get that TTG car off the bottom part of the pack and up towards the front of the field? Up towards the line then comes Carlsbury, currently 15th on the grid, crosses the line, stays 15th. Couldn't find any more time in TTG, only 15th and 16th on the grid for them. That is the first qualifying session over and done with, and what a dream start that is for CPI.
Yeah, a 1-2 is exactly what they needed to get this season off to what is practically the best start possible. And well, it'll probably be up to the TRT drivers and BNL Dan to try fight the CPI drivers for this win. Although strategy will be very, very interesting, as I'll see there on the softs and see what tyre do they go on to at the first stop, and then for those outside the top 10, what will they try in order to get ahead of those who are in the top 10.
Yeah, going to be really interesting to see what they do. Like you say, strategy here is kind of up and down and all over the place. It depends really on what you're most comfortable with. Let's run you through then the final order of qualifying. Look how close it is in the top 4, but it's a CPI front row lockout. Marcel on pole for Mr. BT by just 0.024 of a second. Mr. Pop and Dan on the second row of the grid, both within 1/10 of a second of pole position, and then the TRT driver Josh Sidney rounds out the top 5. It's QVR Academy in 6th place with Backy ahead of NSR in 7th with Thomas. Felix 1 in 8th ahead of B Morgan, and Colin Mason rounds off the top 10. Welsh Maldonado, the first person outside the top 10 in 11th for Esports Wales, ahead of Dylan. Martin Bell, Gout, Carlsbury, Robin, Breezer and Crash Stappen are your 18 drivers in the end. The top 15 separated by just over 0.8 of a second, so you've got to say pretty close qualifying in the end. Well, the top 4 only within 1/10 of a second of one another. While it is a CPI front row lockout, it means anything for the race, the fact that it is that close.
Yeah, extremely close, and that can only mean one thing, that it should be close in the race. Although there is obviously the possibility that some people might have maybe a little less race pace than their quality pace, or it could be the opposite. So you'll probably see one or two changes, maybe of pit stops, and some people going longer than, or shorter than others because of how they're able to manage the tyres, and there might be a difference of compound as well.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to wait and see what everybody's tyres are on, as everyone's just getting ready now for the formation lap. And like you say, there could be a real discrepancy between quali and race pace. It all depends on how you set the car up and what you're the most comfortable with. There does seem to be, on this game at least, a bit more of an emphasis on race pace and quali pace as well. And of course, every race I think I've commentated so far has been a bit of a race of attrition on this game. It is obviously very easy to lose a car over a curb. We've seen it already in qualifying from at least 4 drivers in the qualifying session, so keeping it on the road is another thing as well. Here are the tyres then for everyone outside of the top 10. Welsh Maldonado in 11th place on the mediums. Neverlast Racing's Dylan is on the hard compound tyres, interestingly, so they're going to struggle for a bit of pace earlier on, but they're looking to go very long in this race. Everyone from Martin Bell down to Breezer is on the mediums, and then Crash Stappen at the very back of the field is on the soft compound tyres. So 2 interesting choices outside of the top 10. Dylan on the hards, Crash Stappen on the softs. Clearly Crash Stappen trying to gain places as early as possible.
Well, yeah, indeed. Especially on the softs, which is a bold call, although I wonder if maybe that isn't the call I wanted to make, as maybe just didn't think of changing the tyre compound. And well, this fortunately or unfortunately he is stuck with it now, so it'll probably be trying a soft to hard strategy or soft medium.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do with that strategy. Of course, if there's an early safety car, that will play nicely into Crash Tappen's hands, and of course an early safety car will play massively against those, starting on anything but soft compound tyres. But of course, if there's a late safety car, and some of these drivers haven't pitted yet, that could also play into their hands. Just before we get going though, Brendan, I'm going to ask you, who do you think is going to win this race today?
The CPI drivers were able to just put in.
Well, I think we just lost you there, unfortunately, Brendan. I don't know if your mic just went away there, but we'll wait and see what everybody is able to do for this race, and everyone is lining up on the grid then for the first round of League 2 EML. It is a CPI front row lockout. TRT represented in 3rd and 5th place, BNL rounding off in 4th inside the top 5. Everyone, I believe, then is on the grid, so we should get going for the first round of the season then. It's Marcel versus Mr. BT on the front row of the grid. Who's going to get the best start? It's lights out and away they go. A lot of wheel spin for Marcel on the front of the field, and that is going to put him under pressure from behind. Yeah, done. Yeah, done from 4th on the grid, looking like he's going to try and make a move as well, but CPI blocking the road, making it almost 4 wide, but I think they're just going to hold on. Mr. Pop, though, around the outside. It's going to take 2nd place away from BT, and BT drops down into 3rd. Here comes Dan, then around the outside, and B. Morgan's right there as well. Dan around the outside of Mr. BT. Can he get the move done around the corner? BT on the curb, on the inside of turn 4, and Dan's done a power around the outside. Not the start Mr. BT wanted. He's already lost 2 places. Josh Sidney has lost 3. Off in the background,
BT's
that's Mr. BT. Dropped the car out of turn 6 and into turn 7. Has he kept it out of the wall? I think he's just been able to keep it out of the wall, but that's him all the way down to the back of the field, unfortunately for him. Carsbury's had a spin early on in this race as well. He's well down at the back of the field. Marcel still leads the way, but the other CPI driver down to 17th already. What a disastrous start for him. Good. And then coming out of turn 11, just riding on board with Mr. Pop. Mr. Pop looking like he wants to get moves done early on. He's right tucked up behind Marcel in these early faces down as well. A bit of a split then, down to 4th place of B. Morgan. He's nearly already 1 second behind Dan in front, and he's got Felix 1 right behind him. A real shake-up inside the top 5 from qualifying into this race. Then after the first lap, it's been a bit of a crazy race, and Mr. BT is making places at the moment. He's back up already into 14th position. As off in the background, Josh Sidney has lost the car coming out of turn 15 and has gone straight into the wall. That is TRT's driver out of the race before the first lap is even completed. That is him over and done with. Breezes into the pit lane to replace his front wing as the timing screen is all over the place. That should sort itself out very soon, but Josh Sidney out of the race before the first lap's even completed.
Yeah, and I would have to wonder now what would have caused that, because normally you don't really lose the car out of that corner. So maybe there was some form of contact that might have caused it.
Yeah, a little bit of an odd place to lose it, especially, like you say, with all the other traction zones throughout the lap. That is not the place you would expect it to happen, but he is out of the race. So, unfortunately, already, that is no points for one of the TRT cars. We are just waiting for the timer screens to update themselves, but it is Marcel that leads from Mr. Pop, and Dan is in third place. But look at this, the top two starting to stretch their legs just a little bit. Dan is struggling to keep up with Mr. Pop, and he's got Felix 1 now behind him. Felix 1 has passed B Morgan in all of that carnage that was happening at the end of that lap. So Felix 1 now up into 4th position for Never Last. It's been a good start for him. B Morgan back down to 5th with his teammate just behind. Colin Mason has had a great start to this race as well. Wasbaki is moving out of the way coming down. Oh no, he's just a little bit of a... I think he's lagging just a little bit on my end, is Baki. So his car not really in the position that we would expect it. It's kind of lagging a little bit all over the place. Hopefully that doesn't cause any problems for any of the other drivers. It's Thomas in 8th. He's right up behind Colin Mason, and then Martin Bell and Maldonado round off the top 10. Martin Bell, the lead driver on the medium compound tyres, on board with Thomas in towards turn 1, thinking about the move on Colin Mason, but not close enough to go for the move this time around. But Colin Mason hops over the curb on the inside of turn 1. That's going to give him a poor run, and DRS is now enabled for the first time in this race. Colin Mason hasn't got DRS down towards turn 4. Here comes Thomas around the outside of the corner, gets it done before he gets even turned into the corner. Thomas then, with that power of the DRS, up into 7th position. Colin Mason back down into 8th, and there you go. Look at the lead of the race. Mr. Pop all over the back of Marcel for the lead.
Yes, Marcel's in the lead, but his teammate is down 12th. That managed to battle up back to 12th after that incident on the first lap. And the Tier 2 driver is also gone, as one is completely out of the race. So, it's one CPI driver in first and then a Tier 2 driver in second. The respective teammates have not had a good time of it, as that is Mr. BT up to 11th.
Yeah, working his way through those drivers on the alternate strategy quite quickly, as you would expect, but there's a bit of a gap now to Welsh Maldonado. Martin Bell and Maldonado on their medium tyres have dropped kind of the rest of the other drivers on the alternate strategy. Of course, Dylan on the hards, struggling for a bit of pace earlier on, but it will come to them as the race goes on. Across the line then, to start lap 4, and Felix 1 sets the fastest lap of the race, is Mr. Pop close enough. Actually, Mr. Pop has made the move for the lead, so Mr. Pop passes Marcel down the pit straight and into the lead of the race. Dan is right there. Actually, no, Dan has spun just as I say that, jumping on board with Dan, and he's now spun the car coming out of turn 2. He's managed to get away, I think, with no or very little damage, but that is him down to the back of the field, and that means both BNL cars then are at the very back of the field. His teammate has also spun at turn 13. A disastrous lap for BNL then, 16th and 17th for them, and that puts Felix 1 up into 3rd. I can't remember where Felix 1 qualified. I think it might have been 8th on the grid. But what a dream start. Yeah, what a dream start it's been for him for Never Last.
Yeah, a brilliant start, managing to work his way through the chaos, and well, now as we're just hoping that they can keep up with the top 2 now.
Oh, Marcel's dropped it! Oh. Another one. My word, they're dropping like flies at the moment. Marcel now hopped over the curb on the exit of turn 11.
Wing.
Yeah, damage from wing.
Damage.
Yeah. Oh, and another spin. My word, it's all kicking off at the moment. That's NSR Thomas that spun through turn 12 this time around, all on his own. I think he's got away with no damage, but he drops down into 13th place. Marcel's going to have to come into the pit lane to replace that front wing. What on earth is happening in this Bahrain GP? They are dropping like flies at the moment. There goes Dylan passing up into 9th place. But now comes Gout as Marcel's braking to try and get in the pit lane, but there were so many cars around him that Marcel couldn't physically get into the pit lane, and he's going to have to do another lap with a broken front wing. That is going to be torture for him as he drops back behind Thomas and into 13th place. What an absolute disaster this race has been so far for CPI as Mr. BT tries to fight his way back up the field. He's in 8th at the moment. Martin Bell on the medium tyres is up to 5th. This is playing perfectly into the hands of those on the alternate strategy.
Indeed, so they are up into good positions already, even without the strategy working in their favour. And well, now they can just all they have to do is just keep on racing, and well, just wait. Maybe if a safety car does come out at some point, they may be able to benefit.
Yeah, they're going to have to wait for a safety car to bring them back in, definitely. And, well, like I mentioned before the start of this race, this game really has shown that there's a lot of races of attrition. We've already had that so far. So many mistakes from a lot of drivers already in this race. The two teams, though, that this has benefited are the QVR Academy team and the Esports Wales team. QVR Academy didn't have the strongest qualifying showing, but they are now 3rd and 4th as it stands. B. Morgan all over the back of Felix 1, trying to get up into 2nd position here. And I think he's going to go for the move here down the pit straight. And look at that. Yeah, look at the straight line speed of that QVR car down the inside. Nothing Felix 1 can do about that. B. Morgan up into 2nd place. Baki running a little bit on his own, but comfortably in 4th. And then the two Esports Wales cars in 6th and 7th position for them after qualifying 10th and 11th. So they're doing a good job. And of course, Welsh Maldonado on that alternate strategy as well. We've got to keep an eye on Welsh Maldonado and Martin Bell in this race. Martin Bell only 3 seconds behind Baki at this point in the race. Has got a very good shot. You've got to say, if Martin Bell can get some good pace out of these mediums for the rest of this stint, you've got to say that Martin Bell could have a shout of a podium a little bit later on in this race.
Yeah, so as Marcel finally into the pits, going for the mediums, as tire wear, you doesn't seem that bad, like as harsh as it was last year. As last year, I don't think a soft medium would have really been fathomable, especially for towards the end of a stint. But this year it seems like you can do it, just about, and it does seem to work. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some of these soft runners go on to mediums, and then medium runners could go on to softs.
Yeah, we'll wait and see what the drivers decide to choose. I think we've just been pointed out in the chat as well. We've completely missed it, but Mr. BT has spun for a 2nd time in this race. So he's back down to 12th position. Carsbury now with a 3-second time penalty. I think that's the first track limits penalty we've had of this race so far. I think Breezers is a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane as Felix 1 back down the inside of B. Morgan as there's Breezer, I think, going off at turn 7 again this time around. That has been a horror show of a race for him so far. Felix 1 up then into 2nd place. His teammate Dylan making a move on Gout as well. When here comes B. Morgan though, back into turn 4 down the inside, but Felix 1's going to try and get the switch back on the exit of the corner. B. Morgan gets better traction out of the corner and holds on to 2nd place for the time being. But what this is doing is allowing Baki to close back in and Mr. Pop to pull away at the front of the field.
Yeah, it's not helping either of them at the moment. So if they were just able to not fight and will pretty much tow each other along, they might actually make a dent into Pop Excel's lead.
Yeah, at the moment they're not making a dent whatsoever. Mr. Pop now 3.2 seconds in the lead comfortably at the moment. What a dream start it's been for him in this race. He's just watched all of his competitors around him drop out of the running at the moment. He's not really had to do much. He had a great start, but beyond that he's not really had to do anything but watch all of the drivers around him drop the car. It's just not been a great start for pretty much everyone else. Breezer unfortunately has retired in the pit lane, so that is no points going to be scored for one of the BNL cars. That's already 2 drivers out of this race as it stands, and we're not even into the pit stop phase of this race yet. Does anybody decide to come in at the end of lap 7? No one as of yet is into the pit lane. Actually, as I say that, Colin Mason is into the pit lane from 7th position. That is fair enough. He had no real challenge from behind. Dylan was the closest car behind him, but Dylan about 3 seconds behind on the hard compound tyres. What does he go on to? The hard compound tyres for Colin Mason. Thomas and Crashtappen, the 2 NSR cars, are also both into the pit lane as well. We'll see what the 2 NSR cars are on. Thomas is going for the medium compound tyres, and we'll see Crashtappen is also, I think, going for those medium compound tyres. Yes, they are. So they're trying that soft medium strategy that you mentioned earlier on. You've got to say though, soft medium strategy from lap 8 onwards, that's really pushing it.
Yeah, so the strategy and pit stop, we're having onto mediums, saying SR drivers. That I think it could just about work. Maybe a safety car towards the end might be the thing that would really make it work, but I think it could work nonetheless. And we'll probably see a couple of more pitters very, very soon. Maybe some people will think that an undercut would be powerful enough that it could offset the tyre wear.
Yeah, we'll wait and see who's going to be the first of those to come in. Here's an interesting thing now, though. B Morgan obviously still in second position, now nearly 4 seconds behind Mr. Pop, so Mr. Pop just continues to pull away at the front of the field. On these past laps, though, B Morgan and Felix One have been pretty much inseparable, and they're both inseparable with their pit stops. They're coming in on the same lap. Backy stays out for another lap, but on that previous lap, interestingly, Backy, B Morgan and Felix One were both being caught by Martin Bell and Welsh Maldonado, and Welsh Maldonado going for the move on Martin Bell into turn 1, gets that move done. So up into third place goes Welsh Maldonado and is the lead person on that alternate strategy. OWR second and third on that alternate strategy, in fourth and fifth at the moment. And of course Dylan on the hard compound tyres doing a good job at this point in the race considering the tyre deficit he has. Felix One has gone for the hards, B Morgan's gone for the medium, so a split in strategy here. B Morgan thinks he can get to the end on the mediums. Felix One clearly doesn't think he can do the same.
Well, there's one person prioritising pure pace. As B Morgan believes that the grip the mediums will give as of now will be enough to get out of Felix's DRS, and also ensure he doesn't get passed by Backy and pit stops either, with as Felix is on hard, which will definitely do the entire the rest of the race comfortably, but as he won't provide that much grip initially. Although it is keeping up well enough as of now.
Yeah, the good thing about this strategy, at least for Felix One, is the 3 DRS zones. Of course, DRS incredibly powerful on this track and on this game in general. The 3 DRS zones will help him keep up with B Morgan, and there's not a lot of corners in between those DRS zones. So if he can stay within DRS range, this could work out nicely for Felix One come the end of this race. B Morgan needs to get a move on and break that DRS rate, that DRS, if he wants to make this strategy work. But at least on the outlap at the moment, Felix One is actually closed in ever so slightly rather than B Morgan pulling away, which is interesting. Mr. Pop from the lead has gone onto the hard compound tyres, and Backy has gone for the medium. So again, a split in strategy for those coming in at the end of lap 9. Mr. Pop comes out right behind Carlsbury and Dan, so that is going to be a bit of traffic he has to cope with. B Morgan ahead of Felix One and ahead of Backy as well. Backy just outside of DRS range. And then there's a 6-second gap back to Colin Mason at the moment, who has been caught by Thomas on those medium compound tyres. So Colin Mason at the moment at least not quite able to get enough speed out of those hard compound tyres, but at the moment as it stands is still on for a solid top 10 finish if he can keep the car on the road. Pretty much all of the soft runners are in, which means that the leader of the race is the person on the alternate strategy, Welsh Maldonado, and these two, Welsh Maldonado and Martin Bell, have made full use of these opening 10 laps and have just dropped the rest of the drivers on the same strategy as them.
Yeah, so is that Public Cell returning to track there, it looked like, or something, as it is past the Cowsbury, who has started on the medium tyre, and then we have to wonder now, will this allow B Morgan and Felix to close up on Pop XL if he does get stuck behind a driver here, although it looks like he'll clear Dan, and that will be all the drivers for now, so it doesn't look like it'll be much of an effect.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be too much of a problem. Like you say, it's still 8 seconds is the gap to Robin further up the field, so I imagine he probably won't catch that gap before they've pitted. B Morgan then under pressure from Felix One. B Morgan hasn't been able to drop the Netherlands driver yet. They're so Felix still within DRS range of B Morgan on those hard compound tyres. They have closed the gap in a bit on Mr. Pop. It was about 4 seconds. It's down to about 2.8, so it is down just a little bit, but it's still comfortable so far for the TRT driver, who will be the net leader of this race when everyone has made their mandatory pit stops in this one. Backy has been able to catch back up to Felix One and his teammate, and then there's a 6-second gap back to Thomas, who's got past Colin Mason on those hard compound tyres. So Colin Mason at this moment in the race not quite able to get a lot of pace out of those hards. Felix One though on the hards doing a really nice job at this point.
Yeah, doing a very good job at the moment with them tyres, as it'll only probably get better, although Backy is close there. So if Backy was able to get ahead, there would be the opportunity for teamwork for B Morgan and Backy.
Yeah, it's really what QVR need, isn't it, Backy, to get ahead of Felix 1 so that they can hold him up and hold on to what would be, at this point in the race, a second and third place finish, which would put them into the lead of the team's championship after the first round. That would be a great start to their season after a not so strong qualifying for the team in general. Another person we've got to keep an eye out for, though, is Dylan. The other Neverlast car started on the hard compound tyres. A lap ago, he was 5 seconds off the two leaders in front. He's taken a second out of Martin Bell and Welsh Maldonado in the last lap alone. So, and he's managed to drop Gout from his DRS, so all of a sudden the hard's starting to come nicely for Dylan as further down the field B Morgan gets the move done on Carsbury into turn 4. This now has got to be the opportunity that B Morgan can pull away Felix 1 and leave Felix 1 under pressure from his teammate.
Yep, there's opportunity for now as well. Carsbury had a little moment, and that, although that does allow Felix to get past, and now Backy is the one that's going to be held up. Particularly as Carsbury will have the benefit of DRS too. Oh, and there's a spinner.
Martin Bell has spun coming out of turn 11. The race leader at the time has dropped the car. Turn 11, I don't know if there was any help from Welsh Maldonado, but Welsh Maldonado has lost quite a bit of time in that as well. Whether that was avoiding it or whether there was contact between the two, we didn't see. But Martin Bell, from a great position of a top 5 finish in this race, is spun out of contention and back down to 5th. I don't think he's got any damage, but Welsh Maldonado's come into the pit lane at the end of lap 12, and in comes Gout as well. So Welsh Maldonado and Martin Bell was looking good for them, and it's just started to unravel before the pit stops.
Well, 3 people in to get off the medium tyre and onto the hard as well. There's no surprises. Pitting now, it would only mean you'd be going onto the hard compound tyre. So, our Dylan has the on-track lead of this race. Obviously, Mr. Pop Excel has the net lead, barring a safety car. And
I think it's safe to say Welsh Maldonado may have been involved in that spin with Martin Bell, because Martin Bell is only 7 tenths behind and Gout has jumped the pair of them in the pit lane, so that suggests that Welsh Maldonado has had to change her front wing. So unfortunately, 2 drivers that were looking like they could have had an amazing result are now a bit further down in the field than they would have liked. Obviously, Welsh Maldonado was ahead of Colin Mason before the pit stops, is now about 5 or 6 seconds behind the teammate. So that's going to be a bit of a struggle for them to get a bit further up, only with 3-lap fresher hard compound tyres. You've got to say, if you're starting on the mediums, really you've got to go for the soft compound tyres, really, haven't you? Because a 3-lap advantage on the hard compound tyres really is barely an advantage.
yeah, it isn't really much of an advantage. So if you can go for the softs, then it is definitely the best option, as you will be able to fly through the pack if you are close enough. Well, Phoenix is closing in a lot on B Morgan here, but will not go for the move. And
so yeah, they're going to go for the move for turn 4. That is again, no, not using the ERS down towards turn 4. I'm wondering here whether Felix is just going to wait for those medium tyres of B Morgan's to burn off just a little bit, because I think he may be wondering if he passes B Morgan now, it's going to be easy for B Morgan to repass on the next lap. So maybe Felix waiting and biding his time for a little bit later on in the race when he can get the move done and know that he can make the move stick.
well, yeah, and let's see that gap now between Pop Excel and B Morgan, as it was 2.6 but now 2.5. If B Morgan is able to close up on Pop Excel, don't think Felix would try and move, as it would just be, maybe wouldn't be exactly beneficial if he's able to try and be brought towards the fight for the leader of the race. It wouldn't be the best to just waste time trying to overtake B Morgan.
Yeah, like you say, doesn't want to waste time at all. But Backy, I think, is really thinking about a move here. He's right tucked up under the rear wing of Felix 1, but the fact that Felix 1 has DRS is saving him. But look at Backy using his DRS down the pit straight. He is closing in on Felix 1 towards turn 1. Felix 1 is going for the move this time around on B Morgan into turn 1 down the inside, as we've got a full safety car. Verstappen has crashed coming out of turn 12 and into turn 13. That has brought out the safety car. What does that do for some of these drivers' races? I'll tell you who that benefits. Neverlast Racing's Dylan. That has played beautifully into Dylan's hands.
Indeed. It has played beautifully into his hand. And but also for somebody like Robin, what tyre does he go on?
It's going to be difficult to say. You've got to say at this point in the race, the softs will not get to the end of the race from this point, but of course we don't know how long the safety car is going to stay out for. If the safety car stays out until the end of lap 18, it is possible that he could get those to the end, but it is a major risk. So I think at this point the safe option is probably to go for the hard compound tyres, but you could go for the softs, try something a little bit different and get a bit further up the field. We'll wait and see what they go for. You would expect the top two and Carlsberg to come in. Will we see anybody else into the pit lane? Both of the CPI cars have already pitted under this safety car. What a contrast in race from qualifying it's been for CPI. Front row of the grid lockout, and they're currently 14th and 15th.
And well, last of the people still in the race, just to add to that. And well, there is still an opportunity now for them to fight their way up through the grid now, as some people may come into the pits or that. And
Pop's in.
Yeah,
wow.
Pop's Felix in.
And the QVR drivers have stayed out. So B. Morgan and Backy have both stayed out on their medium compound tyres, which means we now have a QVR 1-2. But what this has done has put Dylan in third position. That is a major gain for Dylan in all of this. Was running in the low end of the top 10 earlier on in this race on the hard compound tyres. He now sits in third position overall on a fresh set of medium compound tyres, a 6-lap advantage over the QVR drivers in front. This is an amazing opportunity for Neverlast to win this first race of the season.
Yeah, it is a big opportunity for some drivers. As DJ Robin is on the softs, and I have to say that is a bold call, but if the tyres can last, then it would look like a brilliant call. And then for let's see, Felix now on fresh mediums will need to try fight his way through the pack, as first of all need to get past Dan, who is on a couple of lap older mediums. Then it'll be Martin Bell and Marshall Nado on what is practically brand new soft or hards. And then it is Pop XL, who would still have a very good opportunity of winning this race if he can fight his way through the pack.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see for Mr. Popper. A bold call for him to come in to the pit lane, considering he was on the hards and they would have got to the end. But maybe worrying at the fact that his lead would have been wiped out and a lot of the drivers behind him would be on fresh tyres. We know it's easy to overtake at Bahrain, so why put yourself in danger of being swamped by the pack behind? I guess from QVR side of things, it's definitely worth it. They're now at the front of the field as a team, so they can use Backer to try and hold some drivers up. But this does put them under a lot of pressure from drivers behind, a lot of drivers behind on fresher tyres. They are on the oldest set of tyres in the field out of anybody at this point in the race, and they're medium compound tyres as well, so there's no saying that they're going to be amazing by the end of this race. Of course the safety car will help as Carlsberg is into the pit lane. Interesting from Carlsberg then, so Carlsberg came in for the mediums, from the mediums, put the hards on, and has gone back in again for a set of softs. So Carlsberg thinking that just get the hards on, get them out of the way, wait another lap to put the soft compound tyres on, and make sure that those tyres can get to the end of the race.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the worst idea. I thought, either way, with the softs, you can overtake. And, well, with this track here, and it has more than enough opportunities for you to overtake.
Yeah, more than enough opportunities, like you say, turn 1, turn 4, so many opportunities. Carlsberg actually nearly spinning the car coming out of turn 3 there on the way to catch back up to the safety car, but just about gets away with it. That would have been not what he would have wanted. This is going to be a very interesting safety car restart then. We're going to have 12 laps to go if the safety car comes in at the end of this lap, which it should do, B Morgan will be the leader for the QVR Academy team with his QVR Academy teammate Baki alongside him. Dylan, though, on a brand new set of medium compound tyres for Neverlast Racing, is in third. TTG Robin, from really nowhere in this race, is now fourth on a fresh set of softs, and Gout in fifth for OWR is on an older set of hard compound tyres, so a real split in strategies across the drivers in the top five. Mr. Pop has been our race-long leader so far, but he decided to come into the pit lane under that safety car period as well to put on a fresh set of medium compound tyres. So what can he do on those tyres? Of course, he was on the hards before this pit stop and still had solid pace. You would expect him to come through the field, but how far can he make it? Safety car is in this lap. This is going to be a really, really good restart, and I do fear that possibly QVR here could get swamped.
Yeah, they could get swamped, but honestly, there is option. If they can work together, they can make something happen. See, B Morgan will have the safety car restart, and if he can get it right, and his teammate knows, then they can maybe pull away together and try build a gap while everyone else is maybe fighting for position.
Of course, they're keeping it. He's waiting to the very last moment to go for the move, and he has gone now for the safety car restart. He is safe, but it has left his teammate vulnerable. Robin's already passed Dylan, but Dylan back through down the straight. I think Robin maybe passed before the start-finish line.
Oh.
Mr. Pop, the massive dive into turn one down the inside. He's already up 2 places and into 4th position. What a great start for him. This restart has been up into 4th place. Goes Mr. Pop.
7th.
Yeah, Felix has gained a couple of places as well. He's passed Martin Bell down the inside. Easy move for him a bit further back. Marcel is up to 9th place already. What a restart for him as all. In the background, Gout's off the road and into the wall. Coming out of turn 4. Big snap of oversteer on the exit of the corner. They are out of the race. That is our 4th retiree from this one as Mr. BT goes for the move a bit further down on Thomas, but can't quite get it done. Colin Mason has not had a good safety car. Drop to the back of the field. B Morgan leads from Baki and Dylan. It's business as it was in the top 3, but Mr. Pop doing what he needed to do is already up into 4th place. It's a bit further down than Felix 1, looking like he's going to get the move coming out of turn 11, trying to get past Welsh Maldonado, who's trying to hold on those hard compound tyres, but is at a major tyre disadvantage to the drivers around them at this point in the race. Can Welsh Maldonado hold on to the DRS range of Robin in front and get pulled along and maybe have a bit of an advantage on the tyres towards the end? B Morgan leads. Baki nearly runs straight into the back of his teammate coming through turn 14. Then Eleanor Dillon on his DRS. Is he close enough to make a move into turn 1? He's tucked in the slipstream. No DRS, of course. Trying to close in on Baki. Baki defending. Neverlast Racing driver down the inside with a switch down to the inside. Dummied Baki. And that is a brilliant move from Dillon up into 2nd place. And Baki immediately under pressure from Pop behind. He's trying to get the move done up towards turn 4. Can they break late enough down the inside line? Down the inside goes Pop. Another late braking manoeuvre from the TLT driver. A little bit of contact with Baki, but Pop gets the move done and is up into 3rd position. A bit of a yellow
flag. That's CPR Mr. BT. Is just another crash.
Oh my word, what on earth has happened there? That's another a load of drivers that have gone off. I think Dylan went off by himself. That caught out Baki and caught out, I think, Mr. Pop as well. Pop had to go off the road, I think, to avoid that one. I don't know what.
Slipped ahead.
Yeah, up into 3rd place. I think Mr. Pop might have some damage that we can't quite see as well. It's just completely understeered off the track at turn 10. Marcel all of a sudden is up into 6th place, and yeah, look at that. Welsh Maldonado on the hards is basically pushing Mr. Pop through turn 11. So I think Mr. Pop does have some front wing damage. You can see the understeer from the TRT car. I don't know what happened there, but I think what happened was Dylan lost the car all by himself through turn 6, and Baki ran probably clean straight into the back of him.
Yeah, and just unfortunate we just caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time. And we lost some others. Pop Excel is into the pits now, so that is a race that's gone completely wrong. As it was all calm, and then the safety car came, and what it was looking like he was making his way through the pack, but then it's just a case of just caught up in an instant that was not his fault at all.
That is such a shame for Mr. Pop, who's been having such an amazing race. Carlsbury, meanwhile, from the back of the field at the safety car restart, is up into 8th place. This safety car so far has worked beautifully for TTG, running in 2nd and 8th when they qualified in 15th and 16th places. And Carlsbury really late on the brakes there, just as I was singing his praises. Far too late on the brakes for turn 8, and has spun the car off the side of Welsh Maldonado's, and that is him back down into 12th position. That is a shame for Carlsbury. They're just caught out by the early braking of Maldonado and Thomas in front. Maldonado on the hards holding on to 6th place, but caught up behind all of that carnage, has lost out to Martin Bell in the process. He's managed to get back up into 5th place. B. Morgan leads. Now it's Robin right behind him on the soft compound tyres, and Robin has got some great pace on those soft compound tyres, but he's dragging Felix 1 with him, and Felix 1 here on the fresher mediums. It looked like it could have been Dylan challenging for the win earlier on. It could be the other Netherlands driver, Felix 1, challenging for the win now.
And yet, that incident has managed to bring Felix right into contention, managing just to avoid it, as Robin has got past for the lead with just pretty much a simple overtake. And now Felix will be looking to try and get past B. Morgan as soon as humanly possible. So, because then, as long as it keeps him within Robin's penalty, then it should be Felix's to lose.
Yeah, look at that. Felix already right onto the back of B. Morgan. B. Morgan's struggling a little bit with those 11-lap-old medium compound tyres. He's still got 8 laps to go as well, so a long way to go on those mediums. Robin, of course, does have a time penalty to his name. If he can break DRS, though, that could save him a few places. Marcel has gained massively in all of this chaos. Started this restart in 14th place and is up to 4th, as we've got Carlsbury spinning again at turn 8 for the 2nd lap in a row this time around, and has dropped down into 13th position. What a shame it's been. I think I completely cursed the man. I just said he was having a great race, and then it's all completely fallen apart for him, unfortunately. Down to 13th place. Mr. Pop still in 14th, waiting for another safety car. What could have been for TRT in this race could have been an amazing result for them, but Mr. Pop cruelly taking out of contention of this victory. Robin leads 0.8 of a second back to B. Morgan. B. Morgan's just able to hold on to DRS, but you can already see Felix 1 just so much faster in that Never Last car. Using the ERS coming out of the final corner, has got DRS, but so has B. Morgan. But Felix 1 just seems to be a faster car in a straight line. Down the inside of B. Morgan he goes. This is for the net race lead as it stands. Down the inside goes the Never Last car. Nothing that B. Morgan can do about it, and Felix 1 up into 2nd position.
Yeah, and a very good position now for Felix, as doesn't really have to overtake, but if Robin starts to lose pace because of the softs just not being able to last that long, then you may want to just try and get past, as then obviously B. Morgan could stay with them if Felix gets held up, and it could also bring CPI Marcel into this as well, who was on the front row of the grid for the start, and if has one chance, it will be well able to get past.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, Marcel coming right back into this one. Thomas on his own at the moment in 5th place. Of course, Thomas, one of those of the many drivers that spun early on in this race, spun on lap 4 through turn 12. What a great recovery it's been for him in this race so far for Norway Scuderia in 5th place. Welsh Maldonado has just got past their fellow hard runner of Martin Bell and up into 6th place. So still a good recovery considering the front wing change that Welsh Maldonado had to make earlier on, and for Martin Bell's spin. But they've got Dan for BNL right behind, the only BNL driver left in this race. Unfortunately, they're right behind on the medium compound tyres, but their tyres are a little bit older as well. Welsh Maldonado immediately defending, but Martin Bell's got a great car on a straight line. Nothing Welsh Maldonado can do about it, and Martin Bell is back up into 6th place. Welsh Maldonado thinking about a move around the outside, but just not late enough on the brakes, as we've got a yellow flag, and that's Dylan.
Yeah.
That has crashed into turn 1.
That's a safety car.
Full safety car, wow. So our second full safety car. I don't know how that's happened for Dylan, whether they ran into the back of someone or lost the car under braking. But the safety car has come out, our 5th retiree from this race, and that has saved Mr. Pop's race then. He can close onto the back of the queue of cars on a fresher set of soft compound tyres. While all that has happened as well, Felix had just got past Robin for the lead of the race.
And that was a crucial move, as now Felix will have clean air and an opportunity then at the safety car restart, if he does pit, to just go for it. And you know, while the others are just fighting amongst themselves, you will have the opportunity to just get a bit of a gap and just control the race from there for the last couple of laps.
Yeah, we'll see what everybody does in terms of pitting, but you would imagine that as Mr. Pop's got a drive-through for speeding under the safety car, that, just as we were talking about his race being saved, that's his race over and done with. You can't serve the drive-through under a safety car. That'll immediately take him out of contention. What a disaster. And Felix One's pitting. Wow, Felix One's into the pits. Robin's in. B. Morgan's in as well. Marcel stays out. Wow, most drivers staying out. Our top 3 coming in. B. Morgan's got a 5-second penalty to serve in the pit lane. But our top 3 all came in, and everybody else stayed out. So that puts Felix One from a comfortable lead in this race on still fresh medium tyres down to 8th. That surely that's given Marcel a clean run at the race victory.
Yeah, that is the thing. When you're at the front, you are the first person to make a call. Well, as Felix made the call to pit, expecting everyone else to go in. But now, since half the grid didn't, I don't think he could get through that many cars in that space of time. As Popixel has retired from the race, seeing that there would not be an opportunity to gain many positions.
Shame to see the retirement, unfortunately, because they would still score points, but that is a retirement nonetheless. I think just more out of frustration than anything else. That is our 6th retiree. We're down to only 12 people left in this race, so hats off to all the people still racing in this one, because they're going to score a decent amount of points for their team coming out of this round as it stands. Good for them, but my word, everything keeps flipping on its head. It's Marcel now in the lead of this race. At the last safety car restart, it was a QVR 1-2. QVR are now 10th and 11th.
Yep, and that's how quickly things can change. As pretty much everyone has caught up, and arguably the sooner the safety car comes in, the better for people to pit it, because they'll have a couple of more laps to try get past. Namely, Felix will need to will have to just fly through the pack. He knows that Robin has 8-second penalties and Morgan has 5, and then Backy is none, and then Gillespie is 3. So then if he does manage to get past, well, he'll need to get past a couple of cars, maybe into turn 1, and then maybe some more into turn 4, and after that I think there will be maybe just about enough laps to maybe pass everyone if everything went to plan.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's an opportunity still for him in this race, but like I say, he's got to get those moves done early. Felix One, the crucial thing for his race is getting past Colin Mason and Mr. BT as quickly as he can, because they are on the freshest of the medium compound tyres of anybody still left out who didn't pit at that safety car restart. So he'll need to get past those drivers as quickly as he can, especially Mr. BT, because of course his teammate leads the race as it stands. What a turnaround this is for CPI after a great qualifying, an utterly horrendous first half of the race, and now they're back in the lead of the race again. I mean, it just goes to show that staying in the race is more important than anything.
Well, yeah, indeed. You just can't really give up, and if you just keep going, usually something will fall your way. In the end, you might even just staying in the race might be the thing that does fall your way, as you will maybe be able to pick up something. It mightn't be always that much, but it will be something.
Yeah, exactly. It will always be something, maybe not what you wanted, but you want to start off the season with something on the board. Of course, some teams are going to have nothing on the board after this race. Sadly for TRT, they're not going to have any points on the board after this race, sadly, along with obviously ECOS, who weren't able to attend tonight. BNL, NSR, OWR and BNL are all down a driver in this race, so they're going to need as great a result as they can. The safety car is in this lap then. Marcel will control the field, and we've got 4 laps to go in this race. 2 laps of DRS to end this one. It's going to be a short sprint to the end of the race. Who is going to win this race? I don't have a clue how this is going to turn out. Marcel's keeping the speed up though. I think he's going a lot earlier this time round than we saw at the last safety car. Actually no, he's not gone out of the final corner. He's waiting out of the final corner. Hopefully everyone behind recognises that that is the case. He's still weaving before the line. Is going to wait till the last moment, and he goes then as Colin Mason gets swamped at the restart. I don't know what on earth happened to Colin Mason there, but he's dropped right to the back of the field. Felix won. Look at the carnage in the midfield. Felix won with a dive down the inside. Robin all the way around the outside trying to get some moves done, but goes too deep. Carsbury half spins coming out of the corner.
Felix does a brilliant run here. Could be up to P5.
Yeah, going for the midfield on Mr. BT down the inside of turn 4, late on the brakes, down the inside, really late on the brakes, but he gets it done. Mr. BT can't hold it around the outside. B. Morgan's up to 7th as well. Dan on his 14-lap-old mediums has been swamped at this restart. He's got his side-by-side there through 7, a little bit of contact, that puts Backy out of line, and Carsbury breaks his front wing on the back of Dan's car. Kicking off in the background there as Backy now loses the car coming out of turn 8. I don't know if he's ended up in the wall or whether he's been able to hold on to it. I think he has, but he is a little bit lagging all over the place for these drivers as well. As Welsh Maldonado now loses a place to Mr. BT. BT up into 5th. Felix already going for 3rd on Martin Bell around the outside. Felix 1 has gained 5 places in 2 sectors.
I think this will work now because there's only 2 cars left and 3 whole laps to complete the overtakes.
Yeah,
what we really needed is just to get past NSR Thomas, and if that can be done, then it won't be that difficult to get past Marcel. Obviously, with the addition of DRS.
Yeah, it needs to get past Thomas before the DRS opens, as well as BT in the background now going for a move on Martin Bell around the outside of turn 1, but can't quite get the move done. Can they get the move up towards turn 4 maybe? Martin Bell holding on nicely on those hard compound tyres, but it might be a sitting duck here and towards turn 4 as down the inside comes Mr. BT, but he's not late enough on the brakes quite yet. Martin Bell though just doesn't have the grip around the outside, and BT is going to get the move done for 4th place and backs out of that one. And here comes B. Morgan trying to go around the outside of turn 7. That would have been a risky move. He's going to dive it for the inside of turn 8.
So Thomas made a mistake, went too deep nearly. There's Felix going to be right on the back of him. Although we'll hold it just for now, but we'll certainly be past now. Doesn't even have DRS, or well, isn't even within a second. DRS isn't quite activated yet. Although Felix just can't get past at the moment.
Not quite fast enough in a straight line. Is he going to think about a move into 12? Couldn't quite get the run out of the corner. Is he going to think about a move maybe into turn 13 here? No, it's not really an overtaking opportunity. He sits behind for the time being. It's going to have to be turn 1, you've got to say. He's going to go for the move, but Thomas thinking about defending down into the last corner. Doesn't quite go for the move. Of course, Felix sitting in behind, waiting for this straight. Then Robin in the background as well, trying to move on Martin Bell, but not quite close enough into the final corner. Here comes Felix then, down the pit straight. I think this time around he's surely got the move done. Nothing Thomas can do about it. Felix has a bit more ERS in his back pocket, and he is past. He's got 2 laps to go to try and chase down Marcel and take away the race victory. What a safety car restart it has been for Felix. 1 here, up into 2nd position on those soft compound tyres. He's got to get within DRS range of Marcel, but once he's within, surely he's got a great opportunity of winning this one as B. Morgan gets past BT and is up into 4th place.
Within DRS range now, so it is very possible that Marcel might get past maybe into turn 1 on the final lap. As there is somebody off, that is Martin Bell, who has crashed.
Oh.
And well, no top 10 for Martin Bell.
Yeah, that is
not
a shame.
Even attempt the fastest lap.
Yeah, that has not unfortunately gone well for OWR as the team. Their other driver out of the race. Martin Bell then with damage. His race unfortunately comes to a sad end, and he's going to keep going, of course, but that is not the result that he would have wanted as he locks up heavily going into turn 10 there. Marcel leads, but look at the gap. It's only 0.4 of a second now. Cosby with another time penalty at the back of the field. That's not going to affect his race. Here comes then, down onto the pit straight. They're both already derating before they get to the final corner. Felix 1 is going to have DRS here. Surely this is the move done for Felix 1 down the pit straight then. Marcel's going to defend to the inside line, but Felix 1 with the DRS is going to go clean around the outside. Nothing Marcel can do about it, and Felix 1 from 8th at the safety car restart within 3 laps is back into the lead of the race. He's got 1 lap to go to finish the race off and hold on to the lead, but my word, what a great safety car restart it's been for him. As further down, Dan and Welsh Maldonado battling, and here comes Baki to try and pick off the pair of them into turn 4. Down into turn 4 they go. Welsh Maldonado is going to hold 7th, but Baki gets past Dan for 8th place, and there's a little bit of contact between them, and Baki loses the car on the exit of the corner. So Baki, having made the move stick, Dan lost the rear of the car and just tapped back his rear wheel. That spins the QVR driver around, and he's down into 10th position. Yeah, such a shame then for Baki then. Not quite the result he would have wanted, but with a sector to go, you've got to say Felix has got this one done.
There's no way Marcel can really win this one unless there's a mistake, and I don't think Felix will be making one.
No, definitely not. Towards the end of this one then, we've got just 2 corners to go. What an opening race to the EML League 2 Championship. It has been chaos from start to finish. At no point has anyone looked like they were going to win this race. But for Neverlast Racing, out of the final corner, Felix 1 with an audacious strategy is going to win the first round of the Esports Masters League Championship. Marcel will come through for an unlikely podium, having been running at the back of the field for the majority of the race. And Thomas, from an early spin, will complete the podium in 3rd. CPI get a 2-4 out of a race that at one point looked like they weren't going to score inside the top 10 at any point, and somehow on the hard compound tyres, Welsh Maldonado has been able to hold on for a top 5 finish. What a crazy race. You got to say, at the end of that one, Felix 1 really pulled that one out of the bag.
Yeah, it was an audacious choice, but by God did it work. As I was able to just get through the slower cars at the start, and then had enough time to just get past with what was pretty much on the last lap.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff from Felix 1. He wins the first round of the Esports Masters League Championship League 2. That's Neverlast to win their first race in EML as well. Congrats to them. Absolutely brilliant race. Let's run you through the full finishing order then. We only had, I believe, 12 finishes in that race in the end. It was such a chaotic race. Felix 1 wins from Marcel and Thomas. BT in 4th from Welsh Maldonado in 5th. B Morgan, Dan, Colin Mason, Robin and Baki round off the top 10, with Martin Bell and Carlsbury the only 2 other finishers. Of course, they will score points as well, despite being outside of the top 10. That is your results then. Mr. Pop, Dylan, Gout, Crash Sappen, Breezer and Josh Sidney all retired. They will not score points because of their retirement, sadly. What a crazy start it was. And after all of that carnage, CPI are going to be the ones on the top of the leaderboard at the end of coming into the second round.
Yep, I 1-2 in quali. They were pretty much last of the remaining drivers at one point, and now they're going to be leading the championship. So that is what I call the definition of a roller coaster race. And for NLR, they have managed to get a win, although with Dylan unfortunately was not able to finish the race for them. So they well, probably might have been a little more on the table for all we know. But yeah, there we go. A brilliant race to start off this season.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that we have to wait a month for the second round of the season, because that was an absolutely brilliant start to the championship. CPI will be on top of the team's championship, of course, but it is Felix 1 that picks up the first race victory of the season. 25 points on the board for Neverlast Racing for them, and NSR, Norway Scuderia as well, on the podium with Thomas. A lot of combat drives throughout that one. Before we finish off today's stream though, who are you going to give driver of the day to today?
Felix, well, P8 quality to what was up to maybe around P4, P3 to P2, then up to P1, then down to P8 with the safety car. and then back up to P1. So a roller coaster race and a well executed one.
Yeah, absolutely. A really well executed race there from Felix One. Made the move stick when he needed to. Got to give a shout out to Marcel for a great recovery drive from him as well after what was a horrendous start to the race for him. I do feel sorry for Mr. Pop. He led the first half of that race quite comfortably, and as soon as the first safety car came out, it fell apart for him. He'll hopefully bounce back, and the team, of course, TLC, will hopefully bounce back nicely next time out. Speaking of the next round is not for another month, sadly, of course. We run monthly races for EML, 10 races, 10 months. The next round of the season is on the 29th of September at the Spanish Grand Prix at Barcelona, a completely different track. Obviously another track that's focused heavily on strategy as well, so that will be a very interesting race to watch. We'll wait and see how that one pans out. Thank you so much though to everybody for tuning into the stream today. Thank you to Brendan for joining me in the commentary box once again. It was going to be a great season. I can't wait to commentate over the full thing. That will be so much fun. Of course, tune in to League Racing TV, of course, over the coming weeks. TTML is starting up once again. BNL is in their season as well. They're coming up to round 3, I believe, next week. So tune in to that one. But for myself and Brendan, it is thank you very much. And we'll see you in a month's time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.